It's got a little bit of a pullback here in the 50. It can't touch it, just scraping it. So that you want to see that, like the hot stove action bouncing away from the 50. You can't get there. Got in after earnings, sold into strength, and re-entered before the last little ramp there. Maybe a little bit to the right, somewhere before that. Yeah, right in there. And then we're kind of around even, but I think it's setting up. And when you get that first 50-day support, that's where a lot of the big money comes in and supports it. So we'll see if that turns up or not. And you obviously risk manage, you get a 5% stop or something like that, probably below the 50, in case it leaks off and looks like a firm and, your exit. So I think this one's got some good numbers, sales growth going forward. I think this, a lot of non-lethal and everyone's got to be recorded and such, right? So got something going for it. It's a little hard to compare this to the group. It's not software security necessarily. It's not Lockheed Martin. So it's kind of a little tricky. And I like to compare movements to similar stocks. You want to see, if you're going to look at a coal stock, that's easier, right? A couple coal ones, obviously there's differences, but home builders are kind of the best, right? Kind of like they move together.
So you can see which one really is that leader.
Right. You want to see which one's a leader, see what the group's doing, if the money's really moving in the group or not. You want that group strength too. So
right. True.
It's hard to see, but I mean, it looks great. I mean, you got this overall huge base and it's kind of breaking out here and starting to trend. Maybe it's a little extended on the weekly, but I think it's, the volume sort of, it looks like accumulation to me and sort of drifting off, and the tightness is there. My other programs are showing that, the average true range is coming in. You want to see that tightening and you have your pivot forming. So I think that's a decent setup.
Yeah. And we did get a question from the audience. So you mentioned a 5% stop, but this question from Mark in our audience just wants to know more about your stop strategy on initial buys. How tight of a stop are you going with? Are you looking at a particular price level, using a percent stop? How do you go about doing that?
Well, I mean, 5% is typically like what I'm comfortable with. So I say that's a sort of a standard stop. I'd love to go less. I mean, maybe you can go less. I haven't measured this out. I think 5% gets you well below that. Even below that, 241.72. That's probably a good level. You're probably wrong down there. At least you're getting shaken out. So if you catch that trend, this might go 300 or something like that. We'll see.